Hey guys, how are we doing? It's Martin Cliffe here. One of the questions that I've been asked more than once is, so what do you actually do for a living? Because in many ways I am living the dream, by which I mean that I am able to work in music full time, or effectively I maintain a living wage from just doing music these days. And that is something that is very difficult to do. A lot of people have tried and failed at it, and I've been very fortunate that in the last year or two I've been able to get into a position where I can earn enough money just from music that all's good there. But it's perhaps not in the way that you might expect. I've said before that I don't earn any money off YouTube. I'm not opposed to the idea by any means of earning money on YouTube. I just had a long-running battle. YouTube demonetized my account in 2011 or maybe early 2012. Can't remember the exact date, for irregular click activity. Whatever that means, they haven't been willing to tell me. And I've appealed 2 or 3 times since then to get my account reinstated and have had no success. I earn a tiny little bit of money by using my own music in the background of my YouTube videos, because that then is sync licensed through CD Baby, so that for every 100 plays I get like a cent or something like that that comes through my CD Baby account 3 to 4 months later. So it's hardly a high earner or anything, but I do get a tiny little bit of money from that. I haven't gone the Amazon affiliates link for anything, although that may be something I'll look at in the future. I don't earn money through a Patreon account. I don't get given money to demo gear, because I don't really demo gear. All the gear that I own has been stuff that I have purchased myself. So I don't earn any money in the kind of modern fashion of a lot of YouTuber musicians are earning money. I also don't earn money in the traditional way of musicians earning money through gigging, or even to an extent through selling records. I have done a couple of paid gigs in the past few years, but only a couple. And the music that I have released so far has not earned me any great return. How I've actually managed to get myself into a position of earning money through music, it has been an interesting journey. Now, I have worked in schools and in education support for almost all of my professional career. From the age of 19, I worked in schools. I took 3 years out to go to university. I have a degree in media technology. I then spent 18 months working in electronics retail, and then I went back to working in schools so I started out as a science technician, and then I worked as an IT technician, which then got promoted to network manager or systems support officer as the job title changed. And then in 2009, I thought I would have a go at being a music teacher. I was offered an opportunity to do a graduate teacher program as a music teacher. That didn't pan out. I spent a term doing that, but it was just something that I clearly wasn't cut out for. I'm far too introverted. I'm far too uncomfortable dealing with particularly large groups of children, that it was just not something that was for me. So at the end of 2009, start of 2010, I left schoolwork completely and set up as a professional musician, which meant that basically I had no income. I sold off a lot of gear that year. I started teaching. I'd had a couple of private students, but I started advertising and teaching more private lessons for very little money to school kids primarily. Just doing basics. I taught guitar, I taught bass, I taught drums, I taught piano at a very basic level. My keyboard skills are nothing exceptional, and I did even teach a little bit of singing. So I earned a living a meagre living doing that. But it all kind of got flipped up on its head in 2013 when we moved to Hong Kong, and we've been here ever since. So we're at Harrow International School, Hong Kong. And again, I started out here without a job. I then got an AV technician role for helping out in the theatre with productions and that kind of thing. I then stepped into a science technician role again because I've done it, and I did that for a few years, and then got the opportunity to take over some of the music ensembles. So I got given this role of music coach, and that is what I do now. I run 3 ensembles. I run a year 9 band, so that's 13, 14 year olds. I run a year 11 band, so 15, 16 year olds. And I run a guitar ensemble, which is a mixed ages, mixed ability group. And they take place at lunchtimes. And then I run a rock jam session, so that's ages 10 to 12-ish, which is more crowd control than anything else. But I do, advise and train up kids on how to work together in rock bands. So there's about 16 or so students involved in that. Beyond that, what I basically do is arranging. I arrange music for the ensembles that I lead, so the 3 bands that I lead, and we typically we'll do between 1 and 3 or 4 songs a term, depending on the group. And then I also do arranging for the school's pop orchestra to help out one of my colleagues. So, and that's what I wanted to show you a little bit of what I'm doing today, just to illustrate how I'm doing it. So I've had to learn. I've always had a good ear and been good at picking up stuff from listening to it and then transcribing it, which is essentially what I do. I'm using Sibelius, and if I switch to that camera, this is basically my workspace for most of what I'm doing. This is a pop orchestra arrangement of Drops of Jupiter by Train. So what I have to do, this particular ensemble has 3 voices, first violin, second violin, cellos, and then electric guitar, bass, piano, keyboards and drums. So I'm going through and I have to listen repeatedly to the song and transcribe what's going on, make decisions, because obviously a lot of these songs don't have the same arrangements and stuff, and selection of instruments as what I need to produce for this, and then entering lyrics and stuff, getting the rhythms right. So I do most of the entry at the keyboard. I have rudimentary keyboard skills, but it's good enough for entering single notes or even chords at a kind of step-by-step thing. But then I'll have a guitar at hand so I can test the guitar parts out, and a lot of the time if I'm picking out notes and stuff, that's easier for me to do on a guitar than it is on a keyboard. As I'm listening to a track over and over again, I'll keep a bass at hand, because then I'll need to adjust the tablature and stuff, because Sibelius's auto tab from the notation is okay, but it's not amazing. It makes some curious decisions. It has an obsession with open strings, so it's always a case of reviewing everything that's entered. Now in this case, for this pop orchestra, I don't have to deal with any transposing instruments, so that does make life a little bit easier when I'm arranging for particularly my year 9 band, which has trumpet, which is in B flat, and alto sax, which is in E flat. I then need to be able to transpose as well. So that just takes a little bit of time, and then I'm dealing with ranges and playing techniques for things that I'm not particularly familiar with as a musician. So it's been a learning curve, but I can typically now reckon it's about an hour per minute of music that I can churn out, maybe a little longer. So say this is a 5-minute song, this might take 3 to 6 hours to produce an arrangement for. And what I have to go through is check that, say the piano part is playable by a normal human being. Our musicians are very good, but and the drums, I haven't finished the drum part yet of this song, or the guitar, just making sure it's all laid out neatly so it's workable. Again, I'm seeing things here where say, it's obsessed with open strings, so I need to make some tweaks to this, and it can just be a case of dragging the notes from one stave to the other. So basically this is the world's worst designed piece of software in terms of the way it's set out, because there's a very funny video that I shared on my Facebook that someone posted about just how bad a design user interface it is. But yeah, it just takes time to learn to work with the quirks of it, and then yeah, just always checking through stuff. It's not too bad with, you know, like violins and basses and things like that, but with wind instruments you also need to then leave room for them to breathe and to recover, because if they're playing for like 5 minutes straight they're going to pass out on the floor. So yeah, you've always got to think about these things. I'm always thinking about the vocal ranges of the singers in question, and you know, the playing ability or whatever of the thing, and trying to keep things either as true to the original as possible or arrange them in a fun and interesting new way that suits the group. So that is essentially what I probably earn 50% of my income doing, is arranging music for school ensembles. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of work, but there we go. I just thought that might be a little bit of interest again, in a kind of behind the scenes way of how it's a way that somebody who isn't in a place where you can earn money from playing, because Hong Kong has no live music scene essentially, there aren't many gigs going on, so you know, I can't earn money as a playing musician very easily that way. There are a handful of people who do, and they know people because they've been here 10, 20, 30 years. So it's a very difficult scene to break into, but at least I'm able to make money doing what I love, which is working in music. I hope that was of interest to you. I apologise if this is a little longer than planned. Thank you for watching. Please click the like button, the little thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already. Send me a comment if you're able to work in music in a way that is not the convention, or if it's something that you're interested in and would like to know more about. Drop me a line if you earn money in a similar way. It's much more fun than teaching, because I'm not having to deal with kids who haven't practiced. I can work at my own time, but it gives me the freedom to then do this YouTube stuff and everything else. So I'm very fortunate, I'm aware of that. I'm probably not gonna, wherever we go next, earn the same kind of money doing the same kind of work, but that's all cool. Thank you again for watching, all the best, take care of yourselves, and I'll speak to you soon.